Outsiders to Cardano often wonder, why is it that our community seems to be unfazed by price action? Is it because we don't like gains or enjoy the punishment of seeing our portfolios bleed? Or is it the fact that we understand the true vision of Cardano, and everything in between getting there is just white noise? When you're able to put all the pieces together, the realization of the inevitability that is Cardano makes dealing with bear markets complete child's play. If you've taken the time to research the fundamentals, its core infrastructure, and observe the community that drives it forward on a daily basis, then you will know that this is what sets it aside from the competition and will ultimately ensure it's still around for decades to come. Welcome to another installment of Cardano Insights, delivering a roundup of the all-important Cardano news and ecosystem content from the last 72 hours. Join me as I explore exactly what's been happening at the very pulse of Cardano in a fast-paced, bite-sized format. So let's get straight into it. First to a project that seems to be going under the radar of the wider Cardano community and is likely to become the first peer-to-peer lending and borrowing platform to launch on Cardano. A quick heads up, I personally hold some of these tokens. AADA Finance, who are implementing the use of innovative NFT bonds, gave us this update on Friday regarding their Testnet app, which launched on the 12th of May. Another week, another Testnet app update. They gave us these changes to the UI. Pending position so you can view if a transaction has been successful. Wallet view to view all the Cardano native tokens held in a connected wallet. UI data synchronizers so the markets page will auto-update every 10 seconds for browsing the marketplace in real time. Social media links to all of their platforms. And the return of the staking tab to view any staking positions if you had previously staked your AADA in the lockup period. This all comes after numerous iterations and updates to the Testnet app. What's really impressive is if you've been following their Telegram where they're extremely active, all the changes requested by the community over the past 2 to 3 weeks have been implemented, and the pace they're delivering them is pretty astounding. The team has so far met all milestones against the roadmap and operate with an extremely transparent and no-nonsense approach. So if you haven't already, be sure to do some research on the protocol and head over to the Testnet app, linked in the description, to try it out before mainnet release, which is still on schedule for the end of June. Upon release of the version 1 mainnet, users will be able to loan and borrow all Cardano native tokens peer-to-peer. The NFT bond concept also opens up a completely new secondary marketplace, where the NFT bond can be sold or transferred amongst users. Whilst projects like Liquid and Meld have seen far more social coverage, with a 29.5 million supply, an all-time high of above $3, and currently trading at 1.16 ADA, AADA Finance is definitely one to watch in the Cardano DeFi space. On Friday, we also got this update from Charles. He and a team of delegates spent the last week in Washington, D.C., meeting with lobbying groups, efficacy groups, attending events, and meeting with congressional staff to discuss the legislative actions currently underway regarding the regulation of cryptocurrency. In a 26-minute update video, Charles discussed the HR 7614, which looks at changing the way ICOs work, pushing crypto towards being a commodity rather than security for cryptocurrencies that are sufficiently decentralized. Speaking on the Lummis Gillibrand bill, he also confirmed IOG will be setting up a lab at the University of Edinburgh to release several papers and create an index to measure decentralization. He also proposed a consumer bill of rights to be codified in the design of any system to reach regulatory acceptance. Charles also highlighted the importance of universal principles and universal concepts to ensure the global community of crypto can work together in reaching these goals. On a more sour note, he also discovered that individuals from the Bitcoin community were actively attempting to persuade lawmakers to delegitimize proof-of-stake cryptocurrency. He said that whilst this had little impact, he described it as behaviour of individuals from the legacy financial system and not that of people who came from libertarian and free market principles. For the most part, this was a very positive update video from Charles and demonstrates the unbelievable effort he and his team are putting in for not only Cardano, but the wider crypto space when it comes to regulation. The Bitcoin maximalist he spoke of should be showing far more gratitude, considering it's efforts like these that will ultimately ensure crypto doesn't become an over-centralized government-controlled industry. As usual, this was really insightful. Be sure to check the full update video, linked in the description. Staying with Charles for the moment, and in an article from CoinDesk, Charles highlighted the importance of a slow, steady approach to crypto, and how if you move fast, you more often than not break things. This was an interesting read considering CoinDesk haven't the greatest track record in painting Charles or Cardano in a positive light. It seems that the fallout of the Luna collapse has started to make certain publications wise up to the fact that maybe Cardano is doing things the right way. 2 quotes from the interview that stood out. If you move too quickly, as we've seen with Luna, and we've seen with the 10.5 billion of hacks last year, you could actually get it to work until it doesn't. And then when it doesn't, it's a catastrophic failure and everybody loses their money. We always say that it's not first, it's best out the gate who succeeds. The people who are going to survive are those who are tested under stress and exhibit resiliency. Go check the full article linked in the description. Speaking of moving fast, this from the blog. Solana's blockchain clock loses track of time and is now running 30 minutes behind. Slower slot times have caused the Solana blockchain clock to drift significantly, and the on-chain time has fallen half an hour behind real-world time. While this issue does not affect network operations, it could contribute to reduced earnings from staking rewards. In Cardano, we hear from the Solana community a lot about network performance and price action. However, it would seem it's not all what it's cracked up to be when it comes to Solana's claims regarding transactions. Detailed in this graph from Galaxy Digital Research, we find that 80 to 90% of all Solana transactions are in fact consensus messages rather than user transactions. All the while, Cardano has hundreds of projects building, 100% uptime, cross-chain bridges, fast and cheap dexes, NFT platforms, $0 stolen, national and Fortune 500 partnerships, massive funding flows, the world's largest decentralized investment fund, and 3,000 nodes securing over 70% of total ADA staked. Credit to ADA for this insight. And speaking of transactions, we got this from Cardano Blockchain Insights. There have been over 343,000 payments on Cardano performed in the last 24 hours. Payments correspond to transactions on account-style blockchains. There are 86,400 seconds in a day. This gives us an effective PPS, that's payment per second, of 3.96, at around an effective block capacity of 80%. After the Vassal hard fork, if DApp developers start using SIP33 and users batch transactions, we can expect at least a minimum, conservatively, 10x of this value at 40 PPS, but more like 250 PPS. This should allow a wide range of applications, for example lending and borrowing dApps, to finally go live. And whilst the blockchain performance is expanding, so too is the community. We got this from Lunar Crush, a crypto social metric dashboard, announced the Cardano community has grown rapidly over the last 2 years, with social mentions hitting 14.77 million, which is an increase of over 2,500%. This wider social reach brings newcomers to the Cardano community every day. Alex Velatis, a strategic advisor at the DSO protocol. For context, he researches Layer 1 protocols and publishes his research findings in informative, unbiased articles, spent the last 2 weeks researching Cardano. He openly admitted not knowing anyone who actually used the blockchain, and couldn't name any Cardano apps, wallets, or NFT collections before starting his research. As expected, the Cardano community welcomed him with open arms, and the interactions with community members throughout his research as he provided updates on Twitter was great to see. Alex states his mission is to help eliminate Layer 1 maximalism in the Web3 space. This means approaching each Layer 1 blockchain with an open mind and making sure he understands all the fundamentals before speaking on it. The article itself is a great piece of research, and I would definitely recommend anyone who is new to Cardano or interested in an outsider's view to go give it a read. In his conclusion, he states, "I can definitely say now I understand the appeal of Cardano. From the research to the building dApp ecosystem and passionate community, it's a blockchain everyone in the space should dive into at some point." You can read the full Medium article linked in the description. For sure, Cardano's community is one of its greatest strengths. Over the weekend, we saw a great example of this. The community's desire to initiate progress and maintain the stability of the blockchain is what truly guides a decentralized protocol to long-term success. In this tweet from Matti Winnetou, he gave his take on a future Cardano improvement proposal, stating, "Since the minimum attack vector is decreasing, after the Vassal hard fork rolls out, I would seriously consider to give SIP50 a shot instead of input endorsers. Agility is key." SIP50 is the proposed implementation schedule for an improvement program to increase decentralization of the Cardano network. Whether you agree this should come before or after input endorsers, the fact that the community is so passionate about driving such discussions is what makes Cardano a leader in this respect. Staying with the community for the moment, our very own AADA Wow reached the 100k sub-milestone on Twitter. He gave us this very interesting thread on ADA and Bitcoin, which looks at some similarities detailing why Cardano has potential to become a scarce asset like Bitcoin. To summarise, in the thread he discusses similarities in market cap in both Bitcoin and Cardano's performance after 4.5 years of trading. Cardano being one of the only coins that approaches Bitcoin's distribution and inflation model, and states that if we stick around, keep the lights on long enough and enthusiasm going, there will come a time pretty soon where ADA is going to be a very scarce asset. It could potentially, with no guarantees, walk a Bitcoin-like trajectory. The scarcity debate definitely holds some weight, and this was an interesting thread, but while scarcity is definitely a driver for price appreciation, I personally believe utility, above all, is what will significantly see the value of ADA rising as the protocol scales to millions and beyond. For all the DeFi degens out there, Input-Output released this blog on Impermanent Loss. They lay out reasons why the EU UTXO model is better for the predictability of impermanent loss than the Ethereum account-based model. In the article, they define impermanent loss, DeFi, compare order books to AMMs, and dive into the EU UTXO model. Luckily for Cardano users, we have some innovative dexes on the horizon, for example Maladex and Genius Yield, who are intent on eliminating impermanent loss altogether. I've linked in the description the Maladex white paper, Input-Output blog, and an article from the blog covering Genius Yield's solution, which covers impermanent loss in more detail. With the Vassal Hardfork testnet going live from June 2nd, Cardano Consensus Community event June 8th, and the main consensus event on June 9th to 12th. With many more dApps in the final stages of deployment, there is so much happening in the build-up to the Vassal Hardfork mainnet, released June 29th. Cardano is a vibrant ecosystem that just keeps growing. We will be sure to bring you regular Cardano Insight updates throughout the build-up and beyond. If you found value in today's video and want to stay informed on everything happening in Cardano and its ecosystem, please consider subscribing to the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with more Cardano news and community insights very soon. Until then, have a great day and keep it Cardano.